Hey, what is up, guys? I'm Spare38 here, and today I'm giving you my review of the first two Star Wars episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, we'll start off with the rewind of episode 1 and 2. So, it does a whole flashback of episode 1, 2, and 3 leading up to where we are in Obi-Wan. I admit it was very good. A lot of nostalgia within it as well. And then after that, we proceed straight over to the Jedi Temple with a Jedi Master training a bunch of younglings. Then the door opens and all hell breaks loose. And we have the 501st breakthrough, and it's during Execute Order 66. I admit I loved seeing this because it was a whole nother point of view of Order 66 within the Jedi Temple than the one we see in Revenge of the Sith, and then the other variant we've seen of Grogu. Then a little bit after that, we move over to Tatooine, where the Grand Inquisitors land on Tatooine looking for a Jedi. We all assumed it was Obi-Wan that they were looking for, but it was a different one. They move towards a bar where this Jedi supposedly was, and they start talking to the bar owner, so on. The Grand Inquisitor starts talking about, saying, the Jedi Order is like an itch, and all that kind of stuff. I admit I love that line so much. And then Reva gets sick of him just talking and no action, so she proceeds to throw a knife at the bartender because Jedi, obviously because of their compassion, they're not going to let innocent people die. So this Jedi force stops the knife from getting the bar attendant killing him, and then he ends up revealing himself. He gets up, tries to run away, gets sandwiched in a triangle formation by the three Inquisitors, and then proceeds to Reva pulls out her lightsaber and then starts putting the blade on his arm, and then was going to kill him, and then the Grand Inquisitor was just flicked her away and just no, you're too irrational, blah blah blah, this endless endeavor for Kenobi needs to stop. Then we move forward then we skip to Obi-Wan cutting up some sashimi as his daily job while he's looking over Luke. Then he does that. It's like his normal day in, day out thing. And then he proceeds to go back, feed his thing that he's been on since the end of Revenge of the Sith, which is insane how long that thing's been alive. He also sees a Jorah, who has the Skyhopper, which you later see in Episode 4, A New Hope, which I believe was really, really cool seeing that. It was very nice. Then after that, we move over to Leia, who I was not expecting to see in this series at all, on Alderaan. She's running through the Alderaan forest, sitting up in a tree, watching all the ships leave the port, and all excited, smiling, talking to her robot. And she's naming every single ship, basically. And I was just like, bro, she's already so smart as it is. Then we move back to Owen, comes up to Obi-Wan after Obi-Wan has worked his shift for the day, throws the toy at him, says, we don't want you anywhere near Luke and us. And then Obi-Wan proceeds to say what we saw in the trailer was, when the time comes, he must be trained. He needs to be trained. And he's like, Owen turns around and says he trained his father. And I was like, bruh, did you have to hit him that hard? Did you have to? Then a little bit after the conflict between Owen and Obi-Wan, the Inquisitors show up once again. Reva is being more arrogant, getting to the point of cutting off some innocent person's hand, which I believe was that's to me is very Sith-like. They're just arrogant. The Inquisitors are all very set back, except Reva. Reva's just wants answers and wants them now. And then pulls out her lightsaber and says to Owen about, if you want Owen and his family to live, tell me the whereabouts of the Jedi. Then the second brother puts down the bounty of the Jedi, saying, if you've seen this person, bring him to us and the Empire will pay you well. Then the second brother pulls Reva aside and says, your obsession with Obi-Wan has to go. He's dead. Leave it be. Then after that, we move forward to her meeting up with her cousins and that. And then she says, hello, cousin, and he just ignores her, obviously, because senators are pretty up themselves. Move back to Leia again, who's at the party with her cousin. I gotta admit, I loved this part so much. Oh, it was so good. He turns around and says, you're not even a real Organa. And then she proceeds to, I assume she looked into his mind and said, you're scared of him. You're scared of your father. You say everything he says and you don't even understand anything he's saying. You try so hard to be like him. And I was like, whoa, she's just hitting him right on the head with that stuff. That was just insane. I love that part so much. Just after the party though, Bail Organa and Princess Leia have words talking about the cousin and that she must apologize and all that, and she doesn't want to because her cousin's heartless and mean to everyone, which is completely understandable. Then Bail starts talking to her about that she'll one day be a great senator and she doesn't want to be a senator, and that's when he turns around and says that's why you'll be the best of us and you'll also be able to boss around your cousin when you're the leader of Alderaan. And then she says, how can I do that when I'm not even a real Organa? And then Bail bends down and says, you're a real Organa in here where it counts. And then she goes downstairs again, runs through the forest, and comes across a bounty hunter, which Reva has sent out to kidnap Princess Leia, which I believe was just, like, it was smart on Reva's behalf. But, like, then the chase after this was ridiculous. I don't know how trained bounty hunters cannot capture a 10-year-old girl. That was just, yeah. No, I don't like that. That scene was a bit silly. They would have caught her like instantly. And then we go straight back to Obi-Wan. He's getting a transmission from Bail, and the communicator that you see within his box, I don't believe we've actually seen in live action. I could be wrong, but I think it's the first time we have seen that one in live action. And then they plead the way they want Obi-Wan to help, but he believes I'm not who I used to be, find someone else. So you can tell that Obi-Wan's really broken and doesn't believe he can do anything to save anyone, which is very sad. Then he goes about doing his day-to-day thing, comes back to his cave. Bail Organa shows up in person to change his mind, tells him to forget about the past and move on. You couldn't save Anakin, but you can save her, which I admit that was a good thing to try and push him. And then Obi-Wan proceeds to go out into the desert, digs up his and Anakin's lightsaber, which I don't know how the hell he found it, but it was probably he's got a force connection to it. But I can't imagine how he feels right now looking at those lightsabers and seeing Anakin's there. And with that, we have the ending of the episode with him leaving Tatooine. But I do believe that was a good episode to start off with. I would give it probably like, maybe a 7 out of 10. It was a good episode. I enjoyed it. It was a good way to start it off. Now we move over to episode 2. So it starts off with Obi-Wan reaching the planet Daiyu, where Leia was taken, and he starts walking around the city looking for traces because there's no signals in or out of the city due to it's a criminal world like Nar Shaddaa. He starts walking around more and more, can't find anything, and he comes across a familiar face, which was a clone trooper saying, help a veteran get a warm meal, and it was a 501st trooper. Not 100% sure if he was a part of the March on the Jedi Temple, but we also know there was 501st troops with Ahsoka, but we also don't know if there was some spread out around the galaxy. But from my knowledge, the only ones that survived on Ahsoka's ship was Rex and her, and the rest all died. I could be wrong, but yeah. Then he gets given a bottle of spice from the chick on the streets who says if you have enough of this it will make all your pain go away, which fun fact is actually Obi-Wan's real life daughter. I did not know that until the other day. Then they take him to a fake Jedi who uses the Force with magnets to trick people to take their money and all that. Then Obi-Wan walks up to him and says, I need a Jedi and all this stuff and safe passage, and I need to find where someone's being taken. And then he does all his fake Jedi bullshit, and he removes the magnets out of his wrist and pulls a blaster on him. Also smashes his communicator, and the guy just screeches, I'll help you, and then ends up telling him where he can go. And then we move over to a drug lab, like a spice lab, I'm assuming, because obviously it's a criminal world. And then Obi-Wan sets up a chemical reaction to create a distraction so he can gain access into the back room, which he does. And then he encounters a Zabrak, which is the same species as Darth Maul, and another human. Proceeds to fight them for information of where Princess Leia is. He ends up finding the room where she is, but he uncovers whatever it was, a dead robot, to find out it was a trap. Then the 3 bounty hunters pin him to the wall and talk about so Jedi do bleed. Then he proceeds to reach into his pocket, throws the spice on the ground, exploding it, and then they all on happy gas and shit. Reva shows up, opens the door, sees them just laying there and just says, where is he? and then proceeds to walk away because obviously you're not going to get intel out of them because they're so high. Then she walks out where they had him captured. Then Reva walks out, sees the 3 Inquisitors in front of her, and they walk towards her and telling her, why would you steal a senator's daughter? And they said, why didn't you tell me that you were planning to do this? And they said they would have shut her down, which they more than likely would have because of her obsession with Obi-Wan. And then the Grand Inquisitor says, stand down, I'll take it from here. All the credit will be mine, basically. So Reva does what Reva does and does not listen. So she sends out a bounty on Obi-Wan Kenobi's head to every single bounty hunter on the planet to hunt him down. He knocks out a bounty hunter that was looking for him, tries to mess around with his wrist bracelet that I'm assuming had the bounty on his head. Then he was moving it. Leia walks up to him and says, you're not who you are. I'm here because of you. They wanted you, so they went through me, type thing, which is another thing why she's so smart. Then runs away again. Another ridiculous chase, by the way. Obi-Wan couldn't catch her. I don't understand why they have these chases. Like, how can people not catch a 10-year-old girl? Then they proceed up to the rooftops. Obi-Wan and Leia still running. Then they encounter, I don't know what species this is, but it looks like a dinosaur. Starts shooting at Obi-Wan and Leia. And then a robot comes up behind Obi-Wan, starts shooting him from behind. Obi-Wan and eventually moves through all the clothes hanging over the roof and kills the dinosaur looking thing. Then Leia's tried to jump across a gap in the building, but obviously she didn't make it, and she's holding on to, looks like a piece of electrical wire. Lets go, starts falling, screams out Ben, and then Obi-Wan has to reach out with the Force and reconnect and just saves her just before she hits the ground. He goes down, go back to her, then he's trying to find a way out, sees the Inquisitors, and then the robot bounty hunter shows up behind him once again, and then the fake Jedi, who I was not expecting to come up, saves him. I thought he wanted the bounty for himself, shoots him and says, go to this place here. It's a direct cargo line to this planet. I have a contact waiting for you. And he's like, how can I trust you? And the fake Jedi says, well, what other choice do you have? Then they go to the port. The fake Jedi tries to stop Reva. Reva just pushes him aside and mind probes him and just knows where Obi-Wan is instantly. Goes to where he is. Then we had a little part where Obi-Wan's reminded of Padme through Princess Leia, which I thought was very wholesome. Then we move back to Reva, where she walks in just saying, Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan, and then saying, I don't want to kill you, but Lord Vader would like to see you. And then, as you can tell, Obi-Wan did not know Anakin was still alive and says, oh, you didn't know? Anakin Skywalker lives, Obi-Wan, and he's been looking for you. And then, obviously, his PTSD's kicking in hardcore. She's literally about to find him, and the Grand Inquisitor shows up and says, I'll show you how it's done, stand down. He goes to use the Force. She stabs him in the stomach. He dies, but obviously it's a fake death because if they did, it would destroy Rebels as a canon story because he's alive within Rebels. And then Obi-Wan ends up getting to the ship using that as a distraction. Reva also says to the Grand Inquisitor, look who's in the gutter now. Reva being Reva. And then Obi-Wan leaves, has a PTSD thing again while standing on the ship. And then it zooms into his face and he's just, you can hear Leia all faded out and she's like, Ben, and he says Anakin. Then it cuts straight to Darth Vader opening his eyes. But like for that episode, it was very good right at the very end. I'd give it an 8 out of 10 to be honest. The writing could be a lot better, but other than that, it's a great episode. But that's it for this one, guys, and I shall see you in the next one. Until then, peace!